lot of people don't know this about me, but this year has been the most influential year of my life. A year ago today, I was struggling every day, being unhealthy, unmotivated, and struggling with anxiety and depression. Now, it took one night for me to finally break and to change all of that. If you were to ask me a year ago what I was going to do for my capstone, I probably would have told you I was going to do it on rap music. But a lot has changed since then. I decided to do my capstone on the gym and how it affects your mental state and overall your entire life. It's incredibly important to work out and exercise. If we were made to live for Christ, then we should do everything we can to be healthy, driven, and to live life to the fullest. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, "So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God." For a long time, I was definitely not living by this verse. On February 1st of last year, I was in my basement, eating cake and playing video games, when all of a sudden, I had a thought that I now know is from God. The idea that I should get in shape. Now, that very night, I decided that I was going to start using the stationary bike. And I remembered something that my dad told me. It takes 3 weeks to start a habit. So, I trained every night on the bike for an hour for 3 weeks. That turned into 1 month, then 2 months, then 3. Then, after that, I decided to join the gym. And with that, I began lifting. I had then reached a point where I had successfully lost 20 pounds. Now, I had the desire to start building more muscle. So, I started taking lifting more seriously and eating more lean foods that allowed me to gain muscle. And after my weight loss, I had managed to gain 25 of those pounds back, of what I at least hope was muscle mass. And now, I have dreams to compete in powerlifting and bodybuilding. These new pursuits have actually opened up a lot of doors for me. I've gotten opportunities from companies to be an ambassador, and I've met many other people from the fitness industry, and I hope to someday become a fitness influencer. And honestly, I'm not really sure what got me to stick to it at first. I'd never been able to successfully stick to a workout routine. Honestly, I think I just dug myself such a deep hole in life that I had no other choice but to dig myself out. And after I dug myself out, I wanted to take it further and outwork the people who once outworked me. And after all this, the physical benefit was only one crazy change that I managed to achieve. What really interested me was the fact that you can completely change your mindset with it. Now, I went from struggling every day in a depressed state to being almost completely free of that in my life. It not only helped me cope with it, but it actually allowed me to almost completely eliminate it from my life for a long period of time. And I was finally able to look at myself in the mirror and genuinely see a hard worker. Because of all this discovery, I feel the need to share this with as many people as I possibly can. If you struggle with anxiety and depression, don't ignore the possible solutions. The only way to get out of it is to put work into it. Counseling may not be your thing, and it honestly isn't for me either. But I ignored my counselor for a long time when he was giving me the exact same advice. I wanted to believe that they just don't understand or don't really get how hard it really is. So I wanted other people to understand how incredibly significant it is to work out in your day-to-day life. For anyone, at any stage of life. So I get some of my friends in the gym. They started inviting their friends, and all of a sudden we have a whole group in the gym. This group continues to bring blessings into my life. And our similar passions for fitness allow us to connect on a level that I've never connected with people on before. Being in an intense atmosphere and working hard, going through struggles and pain, will allow more openness around these people. Struggling alone is much harder and honestly less effective than struggling with other people that are willing to go through pain alongside you. Part of the appeal to be a personal trainer is that I would get the chance to see others going through the same thing that I went through and be able to share my experience to help them get through it. The ability to motivate and see a person change is just as rewarding, if not more, than seeing it yourself. The next thing I discovered about the gym was the significance of community. Before I had a friend group developed in the gym, any mental obstacle I faced I had to take on completely alone. Of course, working out alone has its benefits. It shows discipline, but finding someone who knows more, lifts more, and knows a lot more about lifting will allow you to actually further your progression. And unlike your work community, school community, and other communities in your life, the gym has a group of people you can depend on, because most of the time, these are the most driven and motivated people you will find in your life. Since I've developed in the gym, I can now be that for other people. And I've noticed how many kids are starting to come up to me asking for advice and for motivation. So honestly, I truly believe that leaders are developed in the gym like they're developed nowhere else. Now, in the gym, you can develop a good work ethic. You can take that into the workforce, into your relationships, and just in day-to-day life in general. You learn to suppress your ego, motivate others, and to encourage others. And for me, when I see others pushing themselves, it naturally pushes me as well. Having a community like this is incredibly rare, but to have it in your life is also very important. This aspect benefited me spiritually more than anything. Something about being around other people and meeting other Christians in the gym allowed me to see God's hand over everything. And giving me the gift of friendship and a new desire for socialization really helped me in my life. I also had the sense of God preparing me for something. I didn't know what that would be. Maybe I would get hurt while I was training. Maybe I'd lose a friend. Maybe the world was going to end. It wasn't as extreme as any of those, but it was the COVID-19 outbreak, and it took everything that I thought I had away from me in an instant. I know that everyone suffered greatly, and many suffered far more than myself. Quarantine made me realize how much I really had, and honestly solidified my work ethic. It gave me the ability to overcome and realize that I could overcome in such great situations. None of this would have been possible without this year that I spent working on my character. I gathered up what I had: tires, rocks, bands, and a steel pipe. With all this, I managed to continue my 6-day-a-week training. And honestly, I started training harder than I ever had before. What at first seemed like a brick wall then became a stepping stone. And unfortunately, this isn't a human natural tendency to do. It's a huge misconception that there's an easy way to achieve this mindset. The fitness industry tries to sell you a quick fix, a couple-week plan to change your physique. Not only will your physique take time, but the callousing of your mind takes time and extreme effort. Just like in your faith, it takes being in God's Word and praying. The book I chose to read this year was Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Goggins is a former Navy SEAL, a marathon runner, and currently a motivational speaker. What I love about David Goggins is he's not afraid to give you the hard answer. He is very honest and intense when giving speeches, and calls out the human flaws to take the easy route in most situations. I learned greatly from him. He is a prime example of someone who takes physical toughness to achieve mental toughness. Throughout my reading, I struggled to find the middle ground between toughness and pursuing my best self. And surprisingly, I wouldn't consider these the same thing all the time. I believe that your best self must contain toughness to some extent, without sacrificing morals or a heart for others. After all, you're pursuing your growth within yourself, not others, so truly, fitness is somewhat of a selfish pursuit. This is why I love personal training and think it's so appealing. What I realize now is that I want to help others, but we must first be stable ourselves. It's hard to spare anything if you have little in yourself. Finding the balance of all strengths in all aspects of your life is necessary to benefit from the training fully. Personal training allows me to work on myself and learning from my own training in order to apply it to other people to allow them to grow. To me, this is a perfect example of God's desire for us in our spiritual life. We grow in our faith in order to assist others in their growth. The first thing I know I have to do before even thinking about becoming a personal trainer is to overcome my own doubts about my own progress. The thing that honestly I struggle with the most over these past few years is my self-image. I always thought it sounded stupid when people said that they had a bad body image even though they were clearly in shape. I didn't realize until I began training seriously for bodybuilding that it is a very real issue. When everyone would tell me how lean I was or how much muscle I had managed to achieve, all I saw was too much fat and not enough muscle. People told me that my arms were huge, and sometimes I believed it, but a lot of times I believed that was my worst feature. I wish I would have thought back to a particular experience this year. While on our senior retreat, we embarked in a solo in the woods. While I was in the woods for who knows how long, I started reflecting on my junior year and how far I had come from then to my senior year. A lot of times, doing this helps me cope with these negative thoughts that oftentimes overwhelm me. What I found was that from the outside, many people saw a completely different person, but what I felt inside was the exact same person. I felt as if I had never changed. Sure, I looked different, had a little more work ethic, and enjoyed life a little more than before, but my old self was carried through despite all of this. What I learned from this reflection was that you don't have to completely change who you are to radically change what we do. What we do doesn't directly relate to who we are in the core of our being. If that was the case, then we would always be changing who we are. The betterment of ourselves, being healthy, can help bring out our truer selves. I hope that if anything is taken from my capstone, it is that working out is beneficial in so many ways, in so many different aspects of your life. And don't let the intimidation of the gym keep you from going. I had a realization while talking to the manager of my gym. She explained to me that on a regular basis, she sees out-of-shape kids come in this gym all the time. And she also sees the strongest guys and the most motivated guys always happy to see them. I realized the only guys in the gym who had any reason to discredit anyone who walks in the gym that isn't as big as them are actually oftentimes the most encouraging and humble people I've met there. Of course, that's not always the case, but since I started my journey, I realize more and more every day how grateful I am to have a support system and not just to be alone. A negative self-image is powerful and can cause further feelings of anxiety and depression. Thankfully, God has provided for me a lot during this journey, which is very important. We get our strength from God. I often question God, asking why it took so long for me to do this, asking why I couldn't live the more happy years of high school. I soon figured out why he put it off till now. At the same time that I was getting into lifting, a kid who I knew but I had never talked to was also getting back into a workout routine. He was much stronger than me, knew a lot more, and honestly, he was a lot more intimidating than I was expecting. So one day I finally got the courage to introduce myself, thinking, well, what's the worst that can happen? Now he is my closest friend, and we found out that during the period of time that we had been struggling with anxiety and depression, we had struggled at the same time, and we had both turned to the gym to deal with it. On top of all this, we both have the same passion for God, music, and the same drive for lifting. My friendship with him has grown over the past months, and we talk often about our relationship with Christ. On top of the physical benefits of the gym, mental benefits, and now spiritual benefits I have gained, I have now found friends who will help me with my current struggles and keep me accountable to always do my best in the gym. I find myself remembering the mental pain that I was going through every day. and how much weight is off my shoulders now. It's truly remarkable how much the body connects to the mind. A healthy body means a healthy mind. A happy mind builds a stronger faith and the ability to do things you have never imagined yourself doing. I can now take on life like I never have before. I was a C student in all my classes last year. Now I have A's and B's, and I 100% attribute that to the gym. A year ago, a simple task like getting out of bed would have been incredibly hard for me, and now it's a barrier that's been taken down from my life. My hope is that from a year from now, I'm continuing this journey, competing in powerlifting and pursuing a career in personal training. Thank you.